Hello, seventh graders. Good to be with you again. We made it to chapter 10. That's great. We're covering the 10 commandments. You've kind of heard about them through your life. It's a kind of a time of maturity in your life now where you are kind of reconsidering things about right and wrong and getting closer into adulthood. We call you just about young adults now. And so you're realizing that there are some serious areas in life that consider love, consider the things that you own or have, and also, just relationships to other people. And what happens when something goes wrong in those categories? What do you do? So I'm Father John Barry, and I'm joined with, for the next, you've done 2 in a row with me, haven't you?
Yes, Father Virginus Suagu.
And Father Virginus, you went to school in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Was that true?
Yes.
So why'd you go there? What was there?
I left the state of Maryland to Milwaukee to undergo seminary formation with the Society of the Divine Savior.
So the people that are in your religious club or your religious priest, they all go there to that school, or most of them go there?
Most of them go there.
Yeah? And are there people in your religious group, the Salvatorans, there are people like live in Wisconsin? There's like groups like you here that live there?
Yes. We have so many of our members living in Wisconsin. We have 3 parishes in the Archdiocese of Milwaukee, and we have a number of communities.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Yes.
Well, it's a beautiful state. Of the 50 states, it's one of the ones with a lot of nature, right? A lot of lakes, a lot of trees, right?
You have to be tough for the cold, though.
It's cold, yeah. I hear that they have the most cheese of anywhere in the United States.
Yes, Milwaukee, Wisconsin is called the cheese state.
The cheese,
You just need to go and test and see.
Do you have to eat cheese at every meal?
They serve everything with cheese.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
Cheese,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, you're probably tired of cheese then if you lived up there all that time, right?
I'm taking a break.
Yeah. So I know I've been up to Wisconsin a few times. I've done a baptism there, and I've done some traveling there. And I actually went to a place where they train people for circus performers and flying trapeze people and people that do all these amazing feats. I actually went to see somebody that was training there. So that was interesting. Okay. But my favorite thing of there is the sports teams. There's the Milwaukee Brewers. I've gone to their baseball park. And then the Green Bay Packers football team.
Yes.
Now that's my favorite football team.
Yeah, the Green Bay Packers. Yes.
And they call the fans the cheeseheads because people put a big hat of cheese on their head as a joke because the TV cameras are filming them, But they've won they've won a few Super Bowls, and I've had a good time being their fan, but they don't win them every year, but they win enough to keep me as a fan, They're more of a winning team than a losing team, okay?
Yes.
So, and the Packers are called title chasers. They're called Title Town. They're chasing the title, okay?
Yes.
And that reminds me of the difference between the word chaste and chaste. So chaste is C-A-C-H-A-S-E-D, chaste, like he chased down the title, the path. He chased after the person, okay? And then there's chaste, C-H-A-S-T-E, chaste, or in the field of chastity, okay? And that is basically to try to live a pure life of love. Blessed are the pure of heart, Jesus once taught, right?
Yes.
And chastity. And so to be chaste is to try not to get overwhelmed by the wrong feelings, the wrong thoughts when it comes to love. It's so easy to overdo it because there's a lot of pleasure in love, right?
Yes.
And sometimes you misuse a person or you take too much, you're almost interested in taking all the good pleasures and feelings from the person, but you may not be really respecting them or yourself. So chastity, I think, fits in for a seventh grader, as you all are out there and those watching, trying to keep this commandment of shall not commit adultery or covet your neighbor's wife. That sounds like stuff that only for adults, right? But what about a seventh grader? You can begin to respect people, and especially if you get into a male-female relationship, to a person you're attracted to, maybe a little bit sexually or romantically, even though you're a teenager, it's starting, right? Mm-hmm. It's starting. Some people it starts faster than others. Some people don't want to do anything with the opposite sex or dating or romance, and others seem to be into it a lot, right? So, chastity.
We know that at seventh graders, you're beginning to develop relationships that have a strong attraction side to it. And here we are talking about the sixth commandment and the ninth commandment, thou shalt not commit adultery. And, in this sense, like Father Barry said, you might be wondering, this should be something, that should be said to adults. But again, as young people, it's important to understand that one way of keeping this commandment is respecting boundaries, the boundaries of relationship with the opposite sex, the ability to restrict boundaries, to respect boundaries as well. The reason is, one could get involved romantically very easily because as young people, the hormones are at their height. And if you get involved with somebody to the point of having sexual experience with them, you have taken something very fundamental from them that they are supposed to share with the one they are going to marry. And in that way, it is like anticipatory violation of this commandment.
And this is a topic, I think, Father, that the parents and the youth really need to have, because parents really want to be the primary one to give advice. And they know the youth better than we do, right? So yes. We have to speak in some generalities here. But the Catholic faith basically says there should not be any sexual activity performed outside of marriage before marriage. And unfortunately, that is a sin that's committed a lot these days. So you have a lot of bad example, But chastity is to try to get to that place where you're honest in your love and your affections and your feelings. And if you sin in a way that you've broken the boundaries, done something too selfishly, you need to be sorry. You need to be sorry to yourself, to the person you offended, but especially to God. We have the sacrament of reconciliation to go to, and you need to bring that there and ask God to cleanse you, okay? And I think it's an area that a lot of people have to keep going. Some people struggle with just looking at lewd, perverted images, sexual images. These days, it's so easy to just turn on, computer, phone, television, and watch things where people are nude, people are in the sex act, and it's all done in a very disrespectful, unholy way. And if they're filming someone that are married with each other, they should not be, showing it off to other people to watch. So unfortunately, those things are out there, and I think of chastity, I think of, when I get a car, I want to keep it clean. So I keep on I make sure people don't put things in the car to smell it up or dirty it up, or bringing in chocolate cake to eat there and then all chocolate gets all over it, or something really stinky or smoking in the car and outside the car too. I like to keep my car looking pretty new, so I bring it in for a car wash, right? And I think with our own lives too, we can keep respecting ourselves by keep bringing ourselves back to God and saying, God, I want to respect you, I want to respect me, I want to respect others. So here I am, confessing my sins, or even my, Lord, there's a lot of temptations. Give me strength, Lord, you know? The book has a lot of interesting illustrations, you know. Life is a problem to be solved, you know, but I mean, it's not really a problem to be solved. I think life is a grand adventure to be lived, and we just have to watch out sometimes, you know, that we can crash and burn. So the seventh commandment, thou shalt not steal, just tying it into the other commandment, you can steal someone's innocence, you can steal someone's virginity, you can steal somebody's goodness, you know, and it kind of ruin things a little bit for them. So you got to be careful when life is fragile, right? Be careful with other people's lives, you know, or to you. Sometimes some people have had a thing happen to them where they're the one that's been taken advantage of or sinned against. And then something is stolen away from you. You know, have you ever had, speaking of, that's a spiritual thing stolen away, or a moral thing, but have you actually had something physical stolen? Because thou shalt not steal, I think people right off the bat think of something that's been taken away from them, right?
Yes.
Like what in your life?
I was on, summer pastoral work somewhere in Nigeria, and I went to the parish because I was staying at the outstation, and I went to submit my report to the pastor, and I slept at the rectory. By the time I came back the next day, some thieves had broken into the house, and they made away with valuables. And it's so painful that someone is taking something from you, something that either was given to you as a gift or by your parents, or something you worked so hard to earn money to buy, and they just take it with such ease. It hurts right into the spirit. And there is a form of emptiness that I felt that, like something was forcefully taken from.
Yeah, so things are taken away, it hurts, and in your life, in your circle of life, you've had some trying experiences. I think of a priest friend of mine. He was in D.C. and his car was stolen. It's you come back outside to your car, right? And you're looking, you're thinking, I thought I parked it there, right?
Yes.
And then he walks around, he's looking, well, maybe I parked it somewhere else. And he looking around, finally realizes he's beeping he's pressing the button on the alarm for his car, and there's no alarm sounding anywhere. And he realized this car's gone, and he never saw it again. He never saw that car again, But, he was able to survive that because he can always just get another car, right? The insurance didn't pay for a nice new one like he had, but he got a used car, But sometimes something can be taken away from you, and it's hard to ever get it back. When someone steals something, it's personal, right? You've had something personal in your life if someone took something from you?
Yes. When I was shot on the head, you look at my face and look at my right eye, you notice that it's smaller than the left one.
Yeah.
It's because my eye was almost stolen from me through gun violence.
Someone shot and it hit the side of your head where the eye socket is?
Yes, it affected the eyes.
So violence, so that's, thou shalt not kill.
Yeah.
And then stealing, the after effects. They almost took your life, but they stole something from you, which is partially your eyesight, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And that could affect a lot of things. And one of the things I think about with youth is that they came into a world where some things were stolen from them. One was the environment. A lot of things have been done to the environment where they come into the world now, and it's pretty messed up, And, the generation before me, too. I remember I spent a summer in Los Angeles area, and it was so smoggy there that it looked like the whole town was like smoking or something, or there were fires going on. But that was the air all the time. and you were breathing in that air, and it was like nasty, you know. And but I think even at parks, you go like to a national park today, and you want to enjoy the great outdoors and stuff, and then someone's been there before you, and they have like left all this trash all over the place and broken things and defaced things, and maybe they started a fire or something. It's just like, that is stealing, isn't it not?
It is.
That's stealing, and it's just it's like a lack of concern for the other person. And some people, they steal away money, and all they care about is riches, and they steal away from the money that should be more of the common funds, the common good. And some people live so selfishly that they don't leave a lot for others, and they don't care who's poor, who suffers. And that is just the ultimate selfish life, isn't it? Let's look at a picture of St. Francis that's on page 109. And Father, you can make some comments about that in a second.
Talking about you shall not steal, St. Francis stands as an example of one who had to give up things. He was tired of his town fighting with another town, like Laurel and Burdinsville, fighting all the time and killing each other.
Wait, Laurel and Burtonsville are in a war? Oh, you mean
that was what
no?
it
In
looked
his
like.
time, that really happened.
Yes,
in his time, right?
In his time, yes, there was a lot of conflict, inter-town, inter-city conflict, and Francis was tired of this kind of life. He was also tired of the kind of greed that wanted to acquire money and things, and his own family that seemed to care more about things and wealth than human beings. And so Francis decided to live the opposite of that life by giving up wealth and using his wealth to help others and living a life of simplicity. So Francis stands as one who had respect not just for himself, but also had respect for consequences that his actions could bring if you were to be greedy on those after him. So he stands as a good example of thou shalt not steal. Now, Father Barry, let us do the prayer of St. Francis on page 112.
So all three of these commandments, there's a lot going on there, okay? So when it comes to love, though, loving the creation, giving respect to the creation is a natural thing. If we're going to be giving respect to our parents, giving respect to each other, our own bodies, we have to give respect to what God has created around us. And this is what I liked about St. Francis. Besides his, cause for loving animals and creation, loving people and not loving wealth, he had this great canticle or song where he called the sun his brother because he wanted to treat the sun like somebody he cared for, right? And the moon like his sister, okay, and stars is like his sisters. And brother wind, he talked about wind as his brother. Just found it interesting, and he called the earth mother. And it was just an affectionate way of him to say, I want to be a good steward to the earth. And so let's pray this together, and it wraps up our chapter. Thanks for joining in with us. And here we go. Be praised, my Lord, with all your creatures, especially brother sun. Be praised, my Lord, for sister moon and stars. They are bright and lovely and fair. Be praised, my Lord, for brother wind and for air and weather, cloudy and clear. Be praised, my Lord, for our sister, Mother Earth, who feeds us and produces fruits, colorful flowers, and leaves. Prayer from St. Francis of Assisi, another famous one of his. And, brothers and sisters, maybe tonight you can praise Sister Moon or Sister Stars If it's a clear night, to go out and look up. It's a great inspiration to pray, isn't it, Father?
It
You
is,
know,
it is.
just to walk. Sometimes late at night, I look up and it inspires me to say a prayer to God who made all things. Thank you, and I'll see you next lesson where we're going to do the 8th and 10th commandments on page 113 next time. Thank you.
Thank you, and God bless.